Here we go. Hey, everybody. Dr. Daniel Amen, and I'm here with one of my friends, Barry Goldstein, who's a composer, an author, and just a wonderful friend. Barry and I have produced 3 albums together, The Brain Warrior's Way, Music for Bright Minds, which was crazy success. I think it was on Billboard's charts for like 45 weeks, and Feel Better Fast. And we're working on a new collaboration, Your Brain is Always Listening, to come out next spring. Barry, it's just so good to see you.
Daniel, it's great to see you too. I'm excited to chat with you a little bit today about music and what we've done and how music can help people in these challenging times that we're in as well.
Oh, no question. And I always have a funny story about music. When I was growing up and as a teenager, started that whole thing in the 60s and loved Cat Stevens. Late 60s, early 70s. His song, Father and Son, I actually wrote one of my books to, because I can let music loop. And it just has the same positive effect. And so it makes me happy. But my wife, who was a child at that time, had an uncle who liked Cat Stevens, who was a heroin addict. And so every time I put it on, it just makes her angry. And it's like, why do you hate me? So music can move you to a great place, or the wrong music can actually move you to a dark place.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're learning more and more about what we're calling preferred music and how powerful songs could be. And the music induces what's called autobiographical memories, which is exactly what you just described. For you, it was a great autobiographical memory. For her, it was a little bit more challenging. And they're actually utilizing that now, in Alzheimer's patients. They're asking families of Alzheimer's patients what songs they listened to that made them happy or that were uplifting for them before Alzheimer's hit. And they're using this to actually get to those memories in a different way through neuroplasticity and different pathways. We can access memories, and music has the ability to reach beyond traditional language to do that. So we're in an exciting time where music is being studied and utilized a lot more than it was probably in the 60s, 70s, and throughout.
So give our audience some of your background. How did you come to really study the neuroscience of music?
Well, I started out as a music producer in New York City, but I started playing at a very young age. I was about 12 years old. I bought my first guitar. At 14, my dad bought me my first electric guitar. And, all I wanted to do was music as a full-time living. And I eventually became a producer in New York City. But faster than I expected, it became more of a job than anything else. And I started to lose my love of music and really wanted to get back to my heart of, what moved me within music, as opposed to spending 100 hours producing a 5-minute song in New York under deadlines and time restraints and all of that. So I did a little search at the time, and I typed in music and the heart. And what I came up with was that showed music at about 60 beats per minute can move our heart to a relaxed state. And so that was kind of my start, Daniel. I said, what would happen if I started composing music at that tempo? And instead of composing music, allowing myself to kind of decompose with it at the same time. So I was moving to these very deep trance states in the midst of composing and slowing down my brainwaves, slowing down my breathing, slowing down my heart. And I didn't think anyone would listen to this music. It didn't have a lot of melody. It was long tones. And I played it for a couple of friends, and they said, you have to get this out there. This would be great for massage therapy and for spas. And before you knew it, people were using them in dentist offices and hospitals, hospices to birth children into the world. And that kind of really piqued my curiosity of what was going on. So I began to do more research, which led to me writing a book called The Secret Language of the Heart, and how we can utilize music as a tool for healing and transformation, and be able to target, our brainwave states, be able to target our heart at a relaxed state, and really move not just our mind and our emotions, but our physical bodies as well, utilizing music. And I think that's probably right around the time that you and I met.
When I first wrote Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, there's a chapter on the temporal lobes. And one of the functions of the temporal lobes is they recognize rhythm and music. And I'm like, well, if you want to optimize your temporal lobe, one, you should sing, learn how to get into rhythm, and listen to music. And that music can move you. Music can help you focus. It can help you relax. It can boost your mood. It can help you sleep. And then in our first album, The Brain Warrior's Way, you actually created individual pieces for those states. And my patients just love that. And this is sort of a nice thing. There's actually research which you detail in The Secret Language of the Heart that shows how music can literally move people.
Yes, and I think, when we did that first album together, to me, the importance of that is, we know that music can move us, and that music can change our emotional, our physical, our mental, and it can even enhance our spiritual connection as well. But when it's used randomly, as opposed to within a program, it's not as powerful. And that's really what you and I had talked about, is creating programs just like anything else. If you want to enhance your nutrition, you're going to go on a program and specific things you're going to take into your physical body. And it's really the same thing with music. The more you can create a grounding and a program with it where you're utilizing it every day, as opposed to just having these random powerful experiences, you become what I call the DJ of your own life, where you're programming your day around what you're doing or what you need to accomplish, or shifting your moods to higher capacity and more optimal mood states than you're currently in. So it's really constantly using music as a bridge to take you from one state to another. And that's where it truly becomes a vehicle for healing and transformation and changing your life with it as well.
So in our album, Feel Better Fast, and you can find all of this music on BrainFit Life. So if you go to brainfitlife.com, it's our online program that you can test your brain, work your brain, soothe your brain with this just incredible music. As you were saying, you could wake up to it with the focus pieces. You could go to bed with it because you created music to help people sleep, to boost their mood, to help them relax. So you can actually create your own playlist with the music to get through your day. And I put a link in the notes to Barry's Facebook page. You can learn more about his book and the other music he's created. He's created just a lot of really beautiful music. I mean, I just love it. I find it soothing. Do you have any stories where the music really mattered to people?
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly getting new testimonials and endorsements from people of how they're utilizing the music. One of the most powerful ones for me is being used in the circle of life. So the music's been used to birth children into the world by midwives. And it's also been used to transition people in hospice as well. And I think one of the main things with music, when you listen to really powerful music, and what you and I are doing, we're calling it really designer music because we're designing it for specific things. When you're doing that and you're designing it for specific things, it creates a release for people. It creates a safety for people where in situations like childbirth, where there's normally a lot of stress, they can actually synchronize to those tempos at 60 beats per minute where their breathing is slowing down and they're actually synchronizing. So this is what's called entrainment, when your internal rhythm, which is in your heart, can synchronize to an external piece of music. And so with delivering a child into the world, finding that rhythm and being able to relax within that is very powerful. As well as, to me, there's no bigger privilege than someone playing a piece of music when they're actually transitioning, because that piece of music was able to assist them in releasing anxiety, and helping them feel safer, in order to do that. And that, to me, that circle of life is a very powerful thing. 20 years ago, if you would have told me that your music's being used in this way, as a rock musician, I probably would have laughed at myself. Or if you would have told me that, your music's going to be putting people to sleep every night, 30 years ago, I would have not considered that a compliment. But, in a country where 75 million people have insomnia, and probably even more than that within what we're going through within COVID right now, that's a compliment if people can fall asleep to your music, if they can get a good night's sleep, because it's so important to our body, to our immune system, to our overall health, to our brain state, as you know.
Sleep is absolutely critical. It's one of the major risk factors for Alzheimer's disease when you're not sleeping right. So here we are. We're now at the end of week 20 of this pandemic. And before the pandemic, there was an epidemic of anxiety disorders. Nearly a third of the population would meet the criteria for generalized anxiety disorder. Wow. And since then, I think that number's probably doubled, with the fear of the virus, the fear of getting sick, the fear of somebody you love getting sick, the claustrophobia you're getting from having to stay at home, the struggles in relationships with your kids and online learning, losing your job or the threat of losing your job. I mean, this is really, there's real anxiety out there. How can music help people sort of reset their nervous system? One, turn off the news. I tell people this all the time. The news is not the news. The news is clickbait. They want more eyeballs, which is why you always see breaking news, the thing that said hour after hour is this stupid thing. So turn off the news. How can you reset your nervous system using music?
Well, the words that you really emphasize, which is really important, is fear, struggle, right? All of these things are what create anxiety, and it's running from that bear, which puts us into what's called the sympathetic state, which we're in a state of stress. And with music, we want to go the opposite way around. We want to move into what's called the parasympathetic state, which is where we rest, digest, where we repair, where we relax, where we boost our immune system, all of those things. And so for me, Daniel, music, the important role of music right now is there's a consistency and a safety. When we can listen to a song that we love or that moves us, it gives us what I call a calm within the storm of what's going on. Because a lot of that anxiety is built on limbo, of not knowing what is going to happen. So if we could bring in consistency, and like for me, I was in the same boat when this hit. I said, wow, I have to kind of revise my playlists and really kind of put together some playlists that create safety for me. And it's funny, you were talking about Cat Stevens. That was one of the albums I actually downloaded. That James Taylor's Greatest Hits, Van Morrison, like all of my 70s kind of easy listening is what makes me feel safe. So music for me is like a long lost friend. It's something that's always been there. When I call on a song, it's like calling on a friend that's always been there, even if you haven't talked to them in 20 years. When you do, that same feeling is there. And so I would say for people listening, take an inventory of music that you used to love listening to that maybe you don't listen to anymore, and come up with a few songs that when you listen to them, they make you feel safe. No matter what's going on in your life, they make you feel better. And start listening to those songs and develop a small program for yourself. And this is how we utilize music as a first step. Create a program, 3 songs, that's all you need. When you wake up in the morning, what's going to be the first song of your day that's going to start your day, that is going to uplift you or relax you if you need it? Ask yourself, where am I going in the first part of the day? What role am I taking on? And what piece of music will take me there? So it's kind of like musical nutrition, where breakfast, right, is breaking the fast of you eating. What's going to break the fast of the first thing that your brain's going to hear in the morning for you? And that could be your a very powerful thing to start that day, not just like another day before it, but as a completely new day, new slate, start all over, and a song that's going to create that for you. And then, just like when we have lunch in the middle of our, in our afternoon, and our energy sometimes starts to run out, we need to re-nourish ourselves. I like to play a song in the middle of my day that is going to refresh me. It's going to regenerate me and rejuvenate me. And for me, you see the room I'm in, I'm behind the computer a lot, I'm composing, I need to get up and move. So I like to listen to songs that have a lot of drums and rhythm. And some great studies by Remo, who is a drum company, show us that when we're moving to drums and we're moving to rhythm, that it's a great way to release anxiety and to release depression. So get up, move, get out from behind that computer if you're there, and also take a 5-minute vacation. Listen to a song from another part of the world that takes you out of your environment that you're in, especially in the time we're in. We're surrounded by the same 4 walls. I love, Daniel, to listen to a piece of music from Jamaica or from Spain, and I'm transitioning to that place when I close my eyes and listen. So very important. It helps us move through to a different environment. Music can take us out of there. And then at night for me, is like dessert, something sweet about an hour before you go to sleep every night. Shut off that TV. And a lot of our music's great for this, our sleep music that's on our programs that you mentioned. Put that on an hour before you go to sleep at night, and you'll find that your brain waves are slowing down, your thought patterns are moving out of that busy mind, your heart starts to slow down just by putting it on in the background in your room. And you don't want to listen to music with lyrics, before you're going to sleep. We've created this music specifically to transition from your busy beta brainwave state into alpha, and then segueing that down to theta and delta, so you're not just going from a busy mind into sleep. So when you get to sleep, you're staying asleep longer. And if you can address those 3 times of day, in what's going on, not just now, but anytime in your life, you're going to find that if you do that for 30 days at least, you're going to reset your rhythms. You're going to see that you have the power to really shift your mood, and really elevate your whole process and motivate yourself, your creativity, you're less anxiety, you're more relaxed, and you inspire yourself doing this as well. So that's a great starting point, those three songs in your day.
I love that. It's just so helpful. Your auditory nerve feeds directly into your brain. So you literally can enhance or hurt your brain by what you choose to listen to. When I was a young child psychiatrist, I was at a residential treatment facility for children that were troubled. And so many of them just loved heavy metal, rap, but with lyrics that were really dark. And I came to believe that music can influence you, as we said when we started, in a really positive way, but also a really negative way. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and sometimes, when we're in those states, we don't know what's good for us, so we're in a rut and we're listening to things that are enhancing that state that we're in. So if we're in depression and we're listening to depressing songs or songs that have, a lot of anger in them, they're kind of keeping you in that place, in that status quo place, unless you're using it very sparingly, to move through anger. Dissonance has its place, but in very small doses. So you really, you want to target yourself from where am I now? Where do I want to go? And what piece of music is going to take me there? Not just what do I know? What do I use all the time? You want to look at what's giving you results and what's not giving you results. And it's not the same, for each person. It's just like medicine. The best medicine is individualized medicine, because, you might say broccoli is great for you, but if I'm allergic to broccoli and it's creating an inflammatory response for me, then it's not going to be good for me. So I think that when people recommend a piece of music, you have to listen in a new way. And that's why I think we're kind of moving to, especially with talking about our new program, that your brain is always listening. What effect does it have on you, when someone recommends a piece of music and you don't like it? How does it make you feel? And the other way around as well. When someone recommends a piece of music and you love it, it makes you feel expansive. You feel open.
Nails on a chalkboard if you're not careful.
Right. And if you don't like it, and someone says, oh, but this is great, this has the newest technology in it, you really don't have to resonate with the composition, and that's where preferred music and taste comes in. We can recommend and we hope that people love and listen to, but if it doesn't move them to a place where they feel open and they feel less anxious and stress-free, it doesn't matter. So ultimately, they are the listener. I say they're their own sound healer, because they have to start to identify what moves them and what makes them feel good. And that's really the first step. What makes you feel better, not what makes you feel the same or worse.
So a lot of parents have told me that during quarantine, it's really hard to keep their kids focused, that the online school. And one of my recommendations are to have the kids listen to the focus pieces on our different albums, especially Feel Better Fast, which I just love that music. So putting it on in the background, we often have the mythology, your environment has to be totally quiet in order for you to focus. But I found particularly that piece from Feel Better Fast really helps kids with their schoolwork. What do you think about music in the morning?
Well, yeah, and I think music for focus and the music that we did, it gears towards creating patterns, music's in structure, it's in patterns, it's in song parts, a verse, a bridge, a chorus, and it moves in patterns. So when you give kids something to focus on, but something that's not overstimulating, they're finding more and more that kids like with ADHD, who have a attention deficit, that they can actually focus on specific music that enables them to occupy their brain, but not to the point where they're over listening to it, if that makes sense. So there's just enough there to keep your mind active, but not too much to overanalyze. And this is a compositional thing as well, is finding that balance for each particular thing that we're targeting. Focus, when you're doing music for focus, you don't want to put someone in such a relaxed state that they're going to fall asleep. You want to keep them there and attentive, but at the same time, you don't want too much mind stimulation there. So music has a place, and in the study environment, the songs that we're talking about with specific patterns and also targeting specific brainwave states, for focus, where we're looking towards synchronizing and training more towards beta in that arena than we are, in a relaxed piece of music where we're going towards alpha and delta. And we have technologies that can actually synchronize your brain with that. We put specific frequencies in different ears, and the brain can actually entrain to the targeted brainwave state to move us to those more focused brainwave states. And that's part of what we've done in our program as well, is we're utilizing specific technologies to, induce these states in the listener, to target and move them beyond their current states.
Yeah, no, that's just really great. I have one idea for our new album, so
Good.
People get to watch our collaboration. I was reading how a certain breathing rhythm triggers a parasympathetic response. So we talked about the flight response. The pandemic has triggered that in so many people. It's called the sympathetic response. It's like you see a tiger and your heart goes fast, your breathing gets shallow and fast, your muscles get tense because you're going to either fight the tiger or run away, your pupils dilate, all sorts of things happen. But I was reading research how specific breathing rhythm actually triggered the opposite, what's called the parasympathetic response, as you'd mentioned earlier. And it's basically 3 seconds in, hold it just for a bit, and then 6 seconds out. So 3 seconds in, hold, 6 seconds out, hold, and then repeat that 10 times. So I wonder if we can get one of the music pieces to replicate that, something going up for 3 seconds, something going down for 6. Now that may be way oversimplified, because you're a musical genius here, clearly not me.
No, I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea of that. And there's just different time signatures that we can basically incorporate with that and replicate that pattern, musically as well, so people can follow that really, really easily. So I think when the heart, we're seeing more and more that when the heart's moving to these coherent rhythms, these smooth, orderly rhythms that you and I are talking about, that studies are showing that the brain is having a conversation with the heart and producing more alpha brainwaves, and is moving into more coherence as the heart does. So we used to think it was like either or, we're addressing the heart or we're addressing the brain, but we're learning more and more there's a conversation. So I think that's perfect, because the brain is always listening. And I feel like the heart is listening as well. And the heart's the metronome and the brain is like the ears. So when we combine those two, I think we can have a powerful result where we're leading people to that parasympathetic state where, our cortisol levels are coming down, which is a stress hormone. We're producing more oxytocin, which is, our love hormone. Music can induce our internal pharmacy, which is very powerful.
Well, this is just so interesting, so important. I hope the people watching got benefit from this. Again, Barry's book is The Secret Language of the Heart. I put the link to Barry's Facebook page. You can learn more about him. I also put the link to Brain Fit Life, which has our music albums on it, along with hypnosis audios, meditation, recipes. You can test your brain, work your brain. Thank you, my friend, for joining me on this live stream. I wish you well. And Denise, just, I hope you guys thrive during a very challenging time.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you for having me. I'm staying creative here, doing a lot of new music, which we'll be birthing our new projects together as well. So, that's what I'm doing during this pandemic, staying creative. And, just in final words to people out there, don't think of music as just something that happens outside of you. It's also something that happens within you. And people all over the world during this are reaching out through music. There's people in Spain. I just read this great article that there was a guy playing keyboards on his porch in Spain to kind of help people. And before you know it, there was a saxophone player on another balcony that joined in. People in Italy playing guitars and singing. So music is a universal language that connects us all, and it could be the calm within the storm that you're looking for. So that saying that is just sending out that out to everyone listening, and hopefully that we helped you today with giving you a good starting point for that.
Before we go, I sent an image to my staff. I'm going to see if I can actually put it up, see if I can find it. So many people sent me something back on how much they loved it. Let's just see if I can take a second to find it. Oh, maybe not, but let me read it. I got, all right, here it is. It says, not everything is canceled. Sunshine is not canceled. Spring is not canceled. Love is not canceled. Relationships are not canceled, unless you're being bad in your relationship. Reading is not canceled. Naps are not canceled. Devotion is not canceled. Music is not canceled. Dancing is not canceled. Imagination, there's Barry creating, is not canceled. Kindness is not canceled. Conversations, as Barry and I are having, are not canceled. And hope is not canceled. So with that, love to you, Barry. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for our collaborations. Everybody watching, hope you have a safe and very happy weekend. Listen to great music.
You too, Daniel. Sending love back to you and Tana, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Okay. Take care, everybody.